All right. So back at it. I just did pick one, Cam Ward, my evaluation of the Tennessee Titans first round pick. For those that don't know me, I don't even know if I did this in the first video, but a quick intro and social proof for the people that need it. Charles Barnes been doing it for uh, over a decade. Um, been in recruiting offices at colleges. They've wanted me to be in other cities and other states in higher ranking positions. Wasn't able to take those jobs. PFF certified data analyst. Um, keep accountability with all my picks throughout the years. Had some too many hits to mention, some misses that we all have, but I hit more than I miss. And I say that because if it were up to me, I wouldn't care about saying anything about social proof. It's because I'm always combated with people who want social proof. So that's why I say these things. Maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't. I don't care. All I care about is talking about ball, having a level of accountability, and getting in a position to where I can help a team, specifically the Titans, win a championship. That's it. But here's my opinions on the number 52 pick that they had to trade back or wanted to trade back for. Um, and they were able to obviously get the pick from the Seahawks, I believe, and then also add a third rounder, which is the next evaluation that I'm going to go over. So for those that don't know, I go over all the Tennessee Titans picks. Then after that series, I do and go over a series of who I would have selected in the allotted picks in my live drives that I did while the Tennessee Titans were picking live. So let's get to it. Oluwafemi Oladejo out of UCLA. So a lot of people have talked about this pick. The consensus that I hear from a lot of people is that they are not too fond of the pick. Um, but I do hear, I will have to give the people credit. There is some people who have a level head about this process and landing on Femi Oladejo, but it's not for the reasons that I have. So their reasons is more so, give him a chance. He's a developmental guy. He has all the traits. Um, but for me, or they're just going by their board or how they had it ranked, and I guess it's sort of the same thing. But for me, with Femi, his traits and his versatility is well worth the, you know, shot in the dark per se, right? Because a lot of people talk about this edge class. Why didn't they take the guy from Ohio State? Why didn't they take the guy from, I think Boston College? Why didn't they take Mike Green? Why didn't they take the Marshall kid? Why didn't they take all these edge rushers? Landon Jackson, right? But does Landon Jackson have the ability to, or the experience of dropping back in coverage and the off ball ability? Is he specifically wired the way that Femi Oladejo is wired? Um, there's a lot to like about Oladejo, and yes, he's raw. Yes, he will be developmental. But the thing is, it was an overrated edge class, and a lot of people don't want to admit that. I don't know what evaluation or what tape they were going off of or what they're going by, but if you draft any of those guys that I mentioned before, you're getting a edge guy. You're getting a one position guy that you're going to have to do the same things, work on their technique, work on their pass rush ability, and in some cases, you're going to have to make them tougher versus the run. With Oladejo, you don't have to make him tougher versus the run. He's going to have high effort. He's going to have the ability to start immediately on special teams. He still has the chops of being an off-ball linebacker, but I think those days are behind him. But at the end of the day, he still has experience with that. And I have in my notes where I think the Tennessee Titans, if they had the luxury, they would have been in on those Georgia players, Michael Williams and Jalen Walker. It seems like they got basically the, I don't know, a slight or a couple steps under version of that. They got the guy that had played off ball linebacker but can rush the passer, a la Jalen Walker. They got the guy that's super good versus the run, and Oladejo, a la Michael Williams. So they got a mixture of those popular Georgia players who went in the first round. And he's toolsy. He has traits. He's powerful. Um, I see his role as a guy that can be in that edge rotation. Like I said, I already said he can start day one from special teams, but he can be in that rotation. He can be that physical player, high effort, physical player, long arms, powerful versus the run, the ability to drop in coverage, the ability to be a leader, right? All the tools, but a little bit more than all those edge guys. So I think people have to, I mean, this was definitely a test and true evaluation because there's going to be people that's going to use their metrics from past years. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do this, but use their metrics from past years that say on paper, nothing about this pick says it pans out, whether it be the analytics, whether it be the production score, whether it be whatever. But the thing is, every draft is different. Every evaluation is different. Um, so, and sometimes people are influenced in different ways. We're always trying to find some type of answer, right? Because every year is like, okay, we got this guy here, we got Abdul Carter, Mike Green. These are the guys that are the premier guys. And if you're not like them, then you can't be, one of the best guys in the league. But that's not the truth because once you get to a certain sweet spot in the draft, and it happened a lot early than what people want to admit, is that sweet spot for edge guys was in that back half of, that top 40, top 30 range where you start to get to pick 50, pick 60, pick 70. That's where you're going to find guys that you're just banking on the tools. There is no finished product at edge at that point, in my opinion. And I think we will find out that those guys that you guys wanted, they're not going to be that great either, in terms of like, all around player, but I just think that if I was to grade it, I would grade it a solid B to C plus, because he was, as you'll see in my evaluation, he was my edge or outside linebacker 16, but that's the combo of defensive end type of guys, 4-3 or even front guys mixed in with 3-4 outside linebacker guys, and it's a tiered ranking. So depending on what tier he's in, he could be the top. So let's just say if it was tier 4 or 5 and he was 16, but the first guy in tier 4 or 5 was number 12, he could be edge 12, right? It has a multiple results can happen depending on situation. But like I said, I think that's something to think about that people aren't really thinking about with him. He was the defensive MVP of the Senior Bowl. He has an engaging personality. He's a power player, high effort, run defender. His physique, he's been durable all these years. He has straight line. He has edge, blitz ability off the edge. He needs to improve his overall awareness. He's hot tempered at times, and he needs to improve his pass rush arsenal. But at the end of the day, like, he's gonna be available because he takes care of his body, and he's gonna take coaching. So with that baseline ability, athleticism, and length, his ceiling is higher than you think. So, at first glance, you probably don't like the pick, but I think that he's a solid player that you can work around and use to his advantage, to your advantage, as a team. So as I was doing, I'm bringing something new to these evaluations, like a floor comparison, player comp, and then a ceiling, and then maybe sometimes I'll add a middle guy. So for me, his floor is Jeremiah Moon. He's a guy that's been on the Ravens and the Steelers. Really hasn't played in the regular season, but he's always a star during the preseason. So that's the worst case scenario if he bottoms out and really doesn't, improve. And then I said a mid tier is Kamerion Wimbley. A lot of Titans fans will remember him. He came over from the Ravens. And I think he had maybe one decent year here. And then his highest ceiling is like a Brian Arakpo, another former Titan who really put it all together. Freakish ability. They're actually in the same range as height and weight and things like that. So I think that it's a solid pick. You know, if they were going with that position, they chose to go with the toolsy player over what a lot of people deem as more polished players. But I'm telling you, the separation isn't that far, and I think the Titans saw it the same way.